Hey Slap Shack, my name is Ezliyah. I am a indie folk soul singer-songwriter, multi-instrumental producer based out of Houston, Texas, and I'm so excited to be here. I have a few songs for y'all, and I hope you enjoy them. So this first one is called Didn't Know Any Better. Now go on, tell me about your mother and how she raised you. If the weather got colder, is your tree up? Are the Christmas lights yellow or blue? Was a 30-second call, you took a minute to answer. Do you regret it all? Deciding to cancel on the only woman you ever knew to love first. Oh, she slips away by the hands of this time game. Boy, don't you say that you didn't know any better. And when you see her name stone 6 feet over grave, girl, don't you say that you didn't know any better. 'Cause you're grown now, that's the only reason that you go around avoiding most feelings, just pointing out that everyone's the problem except you. But you can't deny that when you look at her, you're not in those eyes. 1 in a million chance there's someone alike who cares the way your mother would. Now go on again and tell me how she called her only baby, and the phone was just a ring. Yeah, the phone was just ringing. Oh, come again and tell me how she called her only baby while you were contemplating. Yeah, she sat there waiting. Oh, she slips away by the hands of this time game. Boy, don't you say that you didn't know any better. And when you see her name stone 6 feet over a grave, girl, don't you say that you didn't know any better.
When did you first get into making music?
Yeah, so I feel like it really wasn't until I got to college,
Mhm.
because I started singing probably like 4 or 5, um, and I started playing piano like around 9. But yeah, I never really did it like full time in high school because I did 50 trillion things in high school. Like I was like in Stuco and like honor society and like all that stuff that didn't really matter. Um, yeah, and then when I went to conservatory for like classical music. So I did like opera for a while. I studied opera and I did that um, at Manna School of Music, which is at the New School in New York, if you're
Yeah.
familiar.
I went
So,
there.
oh, you okay? Shout out New School. Let's
There
go.
for a year and then I left.
Yeah, the New School is like massive. Like there was like 50 trillion schools under the New School. So like yeah, I was there for 2 years, like I guess at Copa under Manus. And then I transferred to Berkeley. Um, you know, Berkeley, everybody goes to Berkeley. And that's when I kind of got into like songwriting and like producing and everything. So not long, I would say like maybe 2, 3 years of like writing. So very, very new to everything still.
I guess it was maybe a couple weeks ago now, but didn't the governor like lift the mask or like has it been kind of hard living there with so many people not wearing masks, or do you find that most people do? Or
Yeah, I feel like I think he lifted it last Wednesday.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, I'm right outside of Houston, and like all of the like liberal cities here, like we're just like, no, we're leaving our mask on. Like all of the businesses too, like they're not even required, like they're not letting you in without a mask.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
I mean, I feel like he really had no control over that, but definitely probably in like the smaller kind of like I don't know, towns and counties in Texas, they probably aren't wearing masks, but it's like in Houston specifically, like everybody's still wearing a mask. Like we're not gonna listen to the governor. Like I don't know what he thought was gonna happen, but yeah,
Mhm.
for the most part, like everything is still like mask required and social distance and all that stuff. So
Good. Yeah. Have you had a pretty like positive experience at Berkeley?
yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because there's some people that haven't had good experiences, but for me, I feel like the teachers I've had have been like very supportive and very nice. The friends I've made there have been really great. Um, I do think that like just like other schools, Berkeley has like issues with like diversity and inclusion, and like a lot of campuses do. And that kind of can be an issue with like finding your people and like, who get you. Um, but other than that, like I haven't had a bad experience. Um, I don't know. Like people kind of hate on Berkeley because they're just like, you don't need it. Like we're not all Charlie Puth. Like it's not gonna happen. But I mean, there's definitely some things that like I'm grateful that school has given me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm graduating in May, thank God. So
Nice.
almost out.
But I think one of the reasons why I decided not to go to a music specific school was I feel like I was nervous that it would be difficult being around so many musicians, or like kind of constantly comparing yourself to other people, or kind of knowing. I think it's hard with music because there'll always be people who have different skill sets than you and different strengths than you, but also weaknesses. But have you had what's that experience been like with just being around so many musicians and talented people all the time?
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't go to like a performing arts high school. I wanted to go to a regular high school to have that like normal experience. So
Mhm.
when I got to conservatory, it wasn't like it wasn't like a full on like all musicians community because the new school was like a regular university. So like my roommates were like fashion design majors and like they were at Lang or whatever. So I feel like when I was at the new school, I didn't feel that way. And I felt like, I felt like a musician at a university, like a regular university rather than Berkeley, where it was that like very concentrated, everybody is a musician. Um, I don't know. I think when I got there, I was just all so new to it that like I don't know, like you would think that I would be like, oh my gosh, like I'm so new, like I'm terrible. But I think I was just so like excited to be there and like learn from other people because I was like in classical for so long. So I was
Mhm.
like, I just want to like learn as much as I can and like be inspired by other people rather than like compare myself and like my weaknesses to them, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So I know it's like a very hard mindset to like carry out, especially at Berkeley. But yeah, I never was like super defeated, I guess, when I was on campus. So I'm happy about that. Our first like the first semester that you're there, you have to like take like a tech class, like a music tech class. And so it's like guinea pig lessons and like Pro Tools and Logic and like all of those. And I was just like, what the heck is a DAW? Like I didn't even know what a DAW was. So I was like, okay. And like they have a whole like bundle where we have to get like an interface and it's like this whole thing. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that was like a whole new experience for me. But yeah, I feel like Berkeley, like their system is very, very put together and just like they know like track wise like where students should like be and what they should study.
So my way of like trying to find small artists, my tool now, because we've had a hard time like finding people in the past or since like quarantine has happened. And so I'll like scroll through TikTok. And usually it's amazing because people will get like whatever hundreds of thousands of likes on there, and then they have their social media and you'll go to it and maybe they have like, and they'll have a lot of followers too, but then you go to their social media like Instagram and they have like 500 followers, and I'm like, oh
Yeah. It's so wild because like TikTok's algorithm is so organic, so it's so easy for like hashtags and things to work on there. And then like Instagram is like prison. It's like you post something and like nothing works, like no views, no, like I'm just like, damn, this is like crazy. Um, but yeah, it's wild the following algorithm thing. But it's just like random people.
yeah. I mean, that's so I was gonna ask like what your experience on TikTok has been like, or how you got on there, because I saw you've got a few likes, many likes. You're
Yeah,
doing well.
I mean, I got TikTok, I think like August of like was it 2019? I know that it wasn't in 2020 when everybody got TikTok. So I think it was like August of 2019 because I follow Gary Vee, like the motivational, like I
Mhm.
don't know, he's a New Yorker. He's like everywhere on Instagram and he's like, get a TikTok, like you're not gonna regret it. Like TikTok is like the app, it's the future.
I'm confused, like how would I do this? How would I do this that? Just make it. But how do I make a TikTok? I don't fucking dance to music. I'm like, then don't dance to music.
And I was like, okay, let me like jump on this. And then I mean, for the first couple of months, like I would just post covers and things, and then summer of 2020, like during Black Lives Matter and everything, I took Julia Michaels and JP Sachs' As If the World Was Ending, and I like rewrote over it like to the times that I had mentioned Trump and like the coronavirus and Black Lives Matter, and like within 3 weeks that thing like blew up out of nowhere, like literally overnight, and I was like, what the heck? So it was like hundreds and thousands of people were like sharing it and liking it, and like it's crazy because when it blows up on TikTok and you have your like Instagram connected, then people go over to your Instagram and blow it up over there because it was posted over there. And JP and Julia saw it, and I was like, what is happening? So that's kind of like how I got that massive following of people on TikTok. And that was in July. So since then it's been like up and down crazy, but there's been some people that are like still interested in what I'm doing besides like that one video that blew up. But yeah, that was kind of a cool moment, and I'm like, wow, like how do like influencers and people do this like every day because those numbers were crazy.
And there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that like once they get one really popular video, they're like, oh, does this mean I have to keep making content, or like, is my next video going to be as good as the last one? And like, I feel like it's so easy. It's surprisingly easy when all of a sudden like one of your songs, one of your videos blows up and you're like, whoa, like how did that even happen? That makes no freaking sense. And then you think, oh, like because I got one, maybe I could do it again. And then most people like they have one really popular video, and then after that, it's I mean maybe
Yeah.
they like get a more consistent following, but it's really, really small. Which I guess
Yeah.
is nice because you kind of get like, there are people out there that like connect with your content or what you're doing, and like they'll kind of stick with you. But it's also like, I don't know, you're kind of wondering where all those people went who liked that one video, and why it was that one video when you have plenty of other ones where like you do amazing singing, or like you're showing some of your own music. Like, I don't know. I find
Yeah.
TikTok is
Yeah,
something.
it's tough. It's so tough. I try to think of like Instagram as like my true base of people because like they're more engaged. I feel like TikTok is very like kind of wishy-washy, like in the moment, you like this person and then it's like, okay, move on to the next person for you page. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like at first I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to post more, like people are interested, and then give it a few weeks and it dies off and it's like, okay, cool, I'll just do what I want to do. Yeah, it's like a game. And this one is called Again. I got bruised at the sun driving Inscribed on my second day, learned to run the other direction from anyone who shared his name. Never became my normal, comfort was where I stayed. But the moment you walked in the picture, I wrapped myself around this frame again. You made me love again. To win through you, I love again. Came to me as this kind of savior, but not in a pretentious way. The stars were aligned and you felt so right, but I'm too good at running away. Never became my normal, comfort was where I stayed. It was when you said I love you, and from now on you'll be okay again. You made me love again. To win through you, I love again. You made me love again. To win through you, I love again.
What has your music influence been at home? Is that how you phrase that question? Like what what is like your home culture around music? Like
Yeah.
you
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, I grew up primarily, I feel like, I mean, because I don't know, I'm like a late 90s baby. I was born in 98. So like I feel like we were all like in between like 90s, early 2000s. So like I did grow up on like old soul funk R&B because of my parents, and like my dad is a huge music lover. Like they're not musicians at all, but he had tons of vinyls and like cassette tapes. So I grew up on like primarily like black music, like Prince, Michael, Stevie, like Funkadelics, who else? Earth, Wind and Fire, Cameo, and then my mom was more like Quiet Storm, like Anita Baker, Whitney, Shaka. So that was like home, but I feel like because of the age of the internet and like social media, and I feel like it was like, you know, a little bit of Taylor Swift because she was really huge in middle school, and like who else? Justin Bieber. Like it had to be them as well. Destiny's Child was like huge for me too because I'm from Houston. So like I just remember like Destiny's Child, Alicia Keys, like 2000s R&B, and then like 2010s like Katy Perry, like Taylor Swift. So there's a lot, but primarily like 2010s music and then soul music. So
I have two older sisters, and they grew up in the 90s. Like they're more 90s than I am. I was born in 98 too.
yeah.
So all my music influence, like up to a certain age, came from them, and it was all that all that same like early 2000s 90s music.
Yeah.
That even now, that's like a big part of how we still connect, is like the nostalgia of like music and media from like the 90s, where I wasn't even like really like there yet, but for some reason, like just knowing everything from my family, my sisters, I somehow know all that stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, remember that?
It's wild. I think like 2 weeks ago, I was in like my like a songwriting class, and we are like learning about like the I guess like the history of like genres and everything. We were like in country music, and we were playing Shania Twain, like all these country artists, and then Taylor Swift comes on, and like the whole entire Zoom chat was like, oh my god, like nostalgia, like middle school. And my professor was like, do you guys literally see how you just responded to Taylor Swift right now? It's like she literally changed the game. Like you can't not say Taylor Swift. So yeah, it's just crazy how music can do that. um but yeah, the first one, didn't know any better. I wrote that in December, and it pretty much is just like talking about, like, I was mentioning a mom, but it could go for a dad as well. Just like being grateful for your parents, you know? Because I think when I wrote that, it was kind of spontaneous, and I was doing like homework or something, or I was writing a song. My like parents kept calling me, like, it was like every 15, 20 minutes, and I was like, what do you want? Like, please, like, I'm trying to like study or write. And then like that song just kind of came up, and I was like, you know what, like I literally am gonna miss like these calls and like being annoyed by my parents one day, and especially during COVID because so many people have lost loved ones. And um yeah, it's just that song was just about like just seizing, not seizing the moment, that sounds so like cheesy, but just like just being grateful for your parents, and not taking anything for granted, I guess. It can be parents or just a guardian, whoever you see as a figure, like a parent figure, you know. But that's what that song is about. um what's the next one? Again, that was actually for a class assignment. I don't even remember what that assignment was for, but um yeah, it just is about like when, I don't know, like a lot of times in past relationships or like past friendships, there is all that trauma that's involved in that, and you don't want to trust people again. Um, and so that song is just about when you meet somebody that like genuinely is your person, and like you feel so comfortable around them. Um, yeah, it's just a cute little like kind of jazzy love song about like how this person has just made you feel like whole again, and you can trust them, and you just feel seen. Yeah, so I have a little studio over here in the corner, a little home studio. Have little baby monitors and all that fun stuff. So I've learned pretty much production and everything at Berkeley. So everything that I do, I've been doing myself. And then I do mix and master, but I feel like it's better to just have like other people do it, just have fresh ears on it. So I record everything here. I think I like did vocals like in my closet because like there's so many bugs here in Texas, and I can like hear the crickets one night, and I was like, God, I need to go in a closet because I can't. So yeah, recorded vocals like in the closet, did all the guitar parts, and then I sent it off to an engineer for mixing and mastering, and she actually is a Berkeley alum, so that was cool, to have that connection. And yeah, so it was fairly quick. I think I finished all of the production stuff in like 2 or 3 weeks, which I know, yeah, and some people take shorter, longer, but I'm very picky. But even with like acoustic stuff, I'm like, no, it has to be right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Especially when you're doing it yourself, you can kind of do as many takes as you want to do. So it's hard not to take that time and try to make it like it's like the way you want it to sound.
yeah, I've been in a studio once, and it wasn't even for my project. It was for somebody else's, and I was like, this is so uncomfortable. Like I don't know how else to describe it. It's like
Yeah.
getting directed, like, and it's just like, can you do it again, or da, 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 like, do you need more time? And it's like, I guess I don't know. Like it's so weird.
I recorded my first song in a studio, and I just felt, yeah, like really awkward and uncomfortable the whole time, and just felt like I wasn't doing my best, or I don't know, it just could be better. And then I feel like in some ways that kind of pushed me to just start recording my own music and doing it myself, because I think I prefer just like being able to take as many takes as I want and being in my own space and like kind of figuring it out for myself, even if it's not like always
Yeah.
just now for like the best that it could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like top-notch stuff. Like, and like I feel like everybody's kind of pushing the whole like you can make a Grammy award-winning album like in your home,
Yeah.
like the O'Connells are always saying. But yeah, it's I don't know. There's just like that comfort that you have in like your home or like your space where you create usually. So
Did you watch the Grammys on Sunday?
I was watching on and off. I just wanted to see who was like gonna win the awards.
Yeah. Well, I saw something kind of cool. The artist Her, she won a Grammy for the song "I Can't Breathe," and she said that she recorded that song just like in her bedroom, and that just was like I don't know. I just thought that was super cool to hear and very inspiring. I mean, granted, she probably has like super nice equipment and
Yeah.
people to help her out, but still, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I love when they like mention that because it definitely I feel like it helps us a lot
Yeah,
to be like, okay, it's possible
you
we
can
can.
do it.
Yeah.
You can maybe do it.
Yeah.
Well, didn't also Billie Eilish recorded her first album
I think maybe. Yeah.
brother in her at her house in her bedroom?
Yeah, I think she records like all of her stuff. Like, I think either at her house or Phineas's house, like one of the two.
Yeah,
Um, which I yeah respect. Like that's
Very cool.
cool.
it's awesome.
With your experience performing live, do you ever get nervous or like do you deal with stage fright?
Oh yeah, like all the time. That is like number one automatic. Yeah, it's crazy because for me, I have to practice so much to where even if I get nervous, like I know that I won't mess up because I've practiced so much. Yeah, it's so crazy because even with my performances at Berkeley, like I'll be so nervous, but it's so ingrained, like that muscle memory for me that I don't mess up, but it's just the nerves are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when I'm nervous, like my voice is the first thing that's just like terrible. Like it's like pitch is gone. She's nowhere to be found. Yeah, like yeah. So yes, all the time.
I always think like every time I perform, even for like really low key, like open mic settings, I always think maybe this is the time where I won't feel nervous at all or it like won't be a big deal. But it seems like no matter what the setting is, I always feel nervous and I'm like, why does this happen?
It's like so frustrating because like you want to do so good and like you know how you sound by yourself or like with your
Mhm.
family and it's just like oh my gosh like people that I don't know are gonna think that I'm like terrible. So love that. But you know just gotta practice, perform more. Hopefully, it just gets easier. I guess I don't know if it ever will, but
I feel like it's also like you can expect what's gonna happen and like I don't know, like you're thinking of all the things that could happen and that's giving you anxiety, right? And plus like not being like the best, at least me personally, introverted, so being social and trying to like connect with people while you're like up there and they're down there is like weird and uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure like the best times I've ever had performing have been where it was like impromptu and like people just showed up and they were like, "Oh wow, that was great." And you're like, "Oh, you were here the whole time." Those were the only times that I like performed that I ever wasn't anxious. But like any other time that it wasn't like comfortable or I felt like I was just with my friends, were awful and I hated it. And I was like, why do I even do this if I feel gross? And I think I find that very interesting that like that tells me what kind of like how much I want to share my music with people and then also like where I want to draw the line and like it being fun versus just like being nerve-wracking or like stressful.
yeah, definitely. I feel like it's more like you're excited to do it rather than like being nervous that you're doing it. That's what I think somebody told me that. And then I think like St. Vincent or Annie Clark, I like watched her masterclass thing because they had masterclass had a promo in like September where you could like get their whole thing for $1 or something for one day. So I like jumped on that. And like Annie Clark had like her masterclass and she was talking about performing in Stage Fright and she was like, yeah, like every time you do it, you're gonna mess up or like something's gonna be wrong. But like the more you do it, the more you're gonna learn like what not to do and just kind of how to cope with certain things. or manage certain things rather. So I also thought of that as like a tip, or a good tip to know. Yeah.
And how did you get into just like writing your own okay, yeah, how did you get into writing your own songs, and what is your songwriting process like?
So I feel like kind of like with everybody, I probably started in like middle school, but it wasn't anything serious. Like it was very like, trash little jingles stuff. I didn't write in high school because like I said, I did 50 trillion things. But when I got to Manus at conservatory, I feel like is when I started writing more because I like was not happy there. So that was like kind of my escape. So probably like 2017 is when I started writing like more. And when I got to Berkeley is like when I started feeling a lot more confident in my writing because I'm not a songwriting major at Berkeley, but I like concentrate in it. I'm a pro music major. So I do like songwriting. I didn't want to commit to songwriting because I was like, I don't know about this. And I didn't really identify as a songwriter when I got to Berkeley. But yeah, I feel like for me, it's always kind of just like it happens all at once. I don't ever like think of a melody and then the lyrics come, or it's always like I'm on the piano, on my guitar, the chords are there, the melody comes, the lyrics come. I might have like a song title already or like a line somewhere in my phone. But I really like writing things. I'm like very like old fashioned in that sense where I just don't like writing and doing voice memo things. Like I do use voice memo to record, but like not like notes for writing. I like to write it on a tablet and then transfer it over. I don't know, there's just something about like that pen to paper connection for me that I really enjoy. And I also have like a rhyme book that I got at Berkeley that I use. I don't like Rhyme Zone and like, sometimes I'll use it if I want, but yeah, it's all like it's a very like sacred all in one process that I need to like have everything there and just to create. So yeah, I don't know. My brain is just very like organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just what do you have any like ideas of what you want to do with music as you move forward, especially because you're like graduating and we're still in a pandemic? Like what kind of plans do you have, or like if and when things open up, what are your plans?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I feel like I've been asked this more since I'm graduating, and I feel like if I speak this into existence more, it will happen. But the goal, the goal for me is to go back to New York. I just really feel like I need a music scene, and I don't have that down here. And I feel like that's so crucial with like building a fan base and just getting more comfortable performing. And that's I feel like what I need. And of course, New York is so expensive. But I have friends, like, ironically, that are from New York that go to Berkeley. So I just feel like just living with them and like having an apartment with like 4 other people, and just like suffering on through rent and just trying to, yeah, just live like a very broke musician lifestyle for a while, until you can just kind of find, or until I can find like really just like my niche and my community, my sound more, because I'm still very like, I feel like you'll know this, like it's, you just are constantly evolving as musicians and you change so much. So I feel like getting to the city first to just like establish myself and then like figure out what the next steps are would be great. So and then the last one is about my dad. I definitely have like a parent theme going on, but yeah, that one also was another class assignment, but it was basically the prompt was writing about your parents' lost hopes and dreams. Um, and I thought, yeah, that was super deep when we first got that for class. And my dad actually was on track to go pro in football, and he had like 2 collarbone injuries that were like pretty severe, and the doctors had said like if you break your collarbone again you could lose like mobility in your left arm. So that was major. He was in college, I think at Ohio State, when he got that news from the medics. And so he had to make the decision of just like leaving football completely, just focusing on studies and like just getting a job. And so he came back down to Texas, and that's where he met my mom at Lamar, and like they were college sweethearts, and like they left and moved to Texas and like had a family and everything, and like I wouldn't exist if that didn't happen. But yeah, that just was that song was about my dad and just not fulfilling his dream as a football player, and kind of also his life story, because he was raised by two moms. He wasn't raised by his biological parents, so kind of just tied like his life story with like his career story, and just saying like, I'm proud of you. Thank you for raising me to be like this strong woman and female, and yeah. So it's called "You Raised Me To," and it's actually coming out on April 30th. That's my first, like, my debut single. So
Oh my gosh,
yeah, that's coming out
so soon.
so soon.
Over the hill and you carry miles upon your back. I think I know you, all tangled in your past. And I wouldn't dare to imagine what it was like holding your world crashing. That I see you on TV. That way on my favorite jersey. That I get strong when I lose. 'Cause Daddy, you raised me to. A mother's love you can't hide, and in your case it was multiplied. Times that love by faith equals a man of divine grace. And I wouldn't dare to imagine what it's like closing grandmother's casket. I see you on TV. That way on my favorite jersey. That I get strong when I'm bruised. 'Cause Daddy, you raised me to. And I know the days are getting rough. You sacrificed the love for me. Now your life revolves around this team. On the sideline you can see, but you're the MVP. That I see you on else like me. That I can conquer all I choose. 'Cause Daddy, you raised me too. Yeah, so that is You Raised Me To. Again, I just want to thank Slavshak for having me on. It has been so much fun. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And stay safe out there. Bye.
What is it? Come on in the shack. We make some slaps. Come to the slap shack. We'll feature your music. Come on in the shack. We make some slaps. Get your slaps on the slap today. Slap shack.